I want to say a few words today about Playas games. And if we are dealing with a player in our lives, we may find that we are being engaged in various games that they like to play, because much of the fun that players enjoy with us is being able to play, which is why they're called players. And so I want to highlight today some of the games and principles that players operate by. And one of those games we may find ourselves included in unwittingly is the game of dipping in and out. And lots of players, romantic or sexual players, like to dip in and out of people's lives so that they get a lot of variety in their games and in their life, so that they have various people on the hook. And when they are not with one, then they are generally with another. And they can have the ability, if we allow them, to dip in and out of our life whenever they feel like it. And when people are not aware of what is going on, of course, they can unwittingly become a partner in these types of games where they're just left on hold, waiting for the player to come and dip in and out again. And this dipping in and out can come in the form of just being around for an hour, say, for a sexual engagement, for instance, and then dipping out again. And so they give up very little of their time and energy. It's all very specific, and they manage things very well based on their own agenda, which they may have had since the moment that they've met us. In other words, they may set up a casual arrangements where they just get to come and go whenever they please, because they have lots of other things going on in the background, and they have to keep those things going at the same time. Otherwise, the games just won't be as much fun if they just keep one person going. So that's one of the games that we will find ourselves engaged in, sometimes without knowing, with a player type person who likes to manage a lot of different relationships, which they need to do in a way that keeps everyone happy, and in a way that allows them to just dip in and out when they want to, and to use other people really as a convenience. So it's a bit like a convenience store, really, where you just pop into the store whenever you need something. And you don't go there to sort of generally to pass the time of the day, although you can do that at the same time. But basically, it's a matter of convenience. And some players see other people as a convenience. And so we may be drawn in during the hot phase in a relationship type scenario, which may be whittled down there through the games and the management of our expectations, so that at the end of the day, they're just popping in and out, and you're kept waiting on the end of a text potentially, so that you can fulfill whatever need it is that they have at the moment. So that's one of the major games that a player would like to engage in, is to be able to have their own way and to control the dynamics Very important for them to be able to control everything. And so you may find yourself in these games trying to have some sort of voice in the dynamic, which may continuously be overridden by the player's behaviour. And that's a pattern that's often set up, that the player only has their own needs based on their own agenda and their own timeline, and the other person has to fulfill the role of just waiting for the player to come along whenever they feel ready. So it's quite a good idea to maintain our independence and our autonomy and our relationship antennae up so that we understand the pattern that's being formed. And a good idea also to understand what our needs and our goals are as well. So that's one game, is having many people and being able to dip in and out. That's a major game by Playas. And another game that you may find that players love engaging in, and that is manipulating other people's emotions. And they do that by getting to know us very well in the beginning and reading us so that they can tell what our needs are, what our desires are. And therefore, if someone knows who we are, what our character is, what our values are, what our desires are, those can be used in order to manipulate our emotions, which then can be manipulated so that the player type person can fulfill their agenda, because they know which buttons to press, they know which words to use, they know which actions to take to reel us back in when we may be thinking about leaving, or we may be getting a bit fed up with the games. And so they will give a little nice behaviour to draw us back into the dynamic again, so that the status quo is managed very well, and they get to keep things at a level that they enjoy and nothing more. And within these games, it's quite often the case that the other person's desires are not met. In fact, they may become conditioned over time to automatically put the player's desires first. In other words, they may be conditioned to continuously think about what the player would want rather than what they would want. Because through rewards, for instance, the partner may have been conditioned to think about the player first and not themselves. So they may renounce themselves over time and become so conditioned to the other person's needs that they may renounce their own needs, and it can be quite debilitating for the partner when they have been conditioned really to take care of the other person first, because they've learned over time that it's not worth speaking up and asking for their own needs to be met, because that just doesn't seem to be happening. So those are some of the games, but some of the games can be very serious and can be very detrimental to our welfare. So it's quite a good idea to raise our consciousness so that we are aware of what is happening, because without any awareness, we're not able to do anything about the situation that we're in. And when we've got someone constantly manipulating us and in this pushing us away, pulling us back in, and managing our needs and our expectations, it can be quite difficult to clear our mind and to stand back and get objectivity which is really important when we're dealing with these people who may be playing us. So as always, stay safe and very happy. Bye-bye.